Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. It's Tuesday night, it's 7:30. It's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. And I'm live back down in the polytunnel in my veg garden with a destructive dog making a mess of all the work that I've been doing. Let's see if Jamie's about and gets him in. Hello.
You had a trim up? You look like you've had a trim up.
No. Same scruffy mess as usual.
I can see more skin. See more, I don't know, see more of you.
More skinny.
How are you?
I'm good.
Lovely day, lovely evening.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be a bit miserable today, but it turned out nice in the end. After
Have you got,
the bank
have you
holiday.
got another new pair of glasses? No.
Nope.
What's different about you?
Hat?
I know it's a I've never seen that
Scruffy
hat. But something's different. Evening coat.
Maybe it's the polytunnel, the light coming through all the walls rather than in a
Possibly. That's why I done a video call to you earlier to see if I had a decent enough signal in my polytunnel.
Did you not?
Well, that's why I wanted you to answer to tell me whether it was good enough or not.
Sorry. It probably would be alright though, because we've done it in your veg garden before.
Yeah, it's a bit further away though. I'll have a check for next time. Now the polytunnel's practically up and running. Ooh. Double high veg beds.
My new part of the veg garden.
Looking lovely.
Full of plant grow.
Perfect. Have you sown anything yet?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. We've got all sorts of stuff. Steph went on a mad sewing session over the weekend. So
Yeah.
we've got a boot room full of pots of soil. As well as down here. Because it's all peas and beans and stuff like that, and I couldn't be bothered to make a massive pea swing.
Yeah.
So I thought we'll just keep it inside until it all germinates.
Definitely. I've had a bit of a session over Easter in the allotment.
With your 9 million tomato plants.
Not 9 million, it's 195.
90. I
195.
think you need another 2 polytunnels.
But yeah, I'm obviously not going to plant all of them. It's 40 varieties, but a few of each.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't plant 10 of each, just in case.
Done that
I only had about 4 or 5 not germinate, and they were
everything in your hot hut.
ananas from Joe from last year. The ones I'd left over didn't germinate. 5 seeds at the end. They're the only ones.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
No. So yeah, I've done my tomatoes. I had a marathon potting on session. That was good. Enjoyed that. So if you ever ask me that, sowing seeds or potting on. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's easy with plugs, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different if you got to prick out. That's a pain in the backside. But with plugs, it's easy.
Evenings.
Just stick my little finger up the hole and
That sounds
pop
dodgy.
them in. Only in your dirty mind, Mark.
So when you were doing your potting on, did you just sit in the horse field with some pots and scoop up some plant grow into the pots?
No. I had some bags for that. All my plant grow is in the plot now. I shoveled all that the other day. It was all right. Obviously, it's there, but it was just a lot harder work when the horses have been rolling around on it and compacting it.
I've broke up all the clumps for you.
There's no clumps in plant grow. Yeah, done that, and I've put my Simply Seeds onion sets.
Oh, yeah.
Put them out in the garden. They're all sitting there since October. And I put broad beans out, and I've done the first sowing of some radish and some beetroots. So
My
actually,
broad beans are rubbish.
things are going. Are they? Oh God, I've got some here.
They keep going black.
I've got about 30. Oh, is that what compost that in?
Well, it was in Koya to start with. It's now in plant grow. But I don't think it's the weed killer thing. Because
Yeah.
usually that goes like really withered. And nothing else has done it from that same bag of compost. So
But that's
really weird.
that's a broad bean, Kate. But that's really weird, isn't it? Because they say broad beans are the ones to use for the test.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I sowed them sort of autumn, and they've just sat there and done nothing. So I wonder whether it's just bad seed.
Jenny reckons they might have had a little nip of cold.
Maybe.
Might be even corner over there. John JP. He brought me some. He brought me some around last year. He sows loads of broad beans, and he just brings me a tray full. But mine have been sitting outside. He brought them round about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
he's probably
planted them
autumn
out
sowed it,
on
hasn't
Sunday. I planted them out on Sunday.
he? Yeah.
They ain't
Really
got
dead.
no black bits
But
on.
they were inside. They were inside in my boot room, and they were going black, like they were coming through and not getting going. So I've put them in some plant grow,
Mm.
and they've just not got any better.
Wow.
Rubbish. Never any good at that one. Slightly better, but it's still pathetic. It's not black.
My God. Not good.
No. Never
Not
been
good
good
at
at broad
all.
beans.
Look at my beautiful
So,
apple trees.
oh, look at all that blossom, as well as light.
Absolutely amazing. And let me show you the shape, because I had a good old shape in this year.
Oh yeah.
I missed a couple there and
Get up
there.
there and trim them now. Come on.
Yeah, I think I will. But that's my eater over there, and I didn't touch that. And look how wild that is.
Mm,
That's my Bramley. So the eat is going to get it next winter. And
beautiful
you ought
old.
to see my euphorbia that we were talking about. You said that's going to flower soon.
Oh yeah.
And
Look at that.
there it is.
Beautiful.
It is
With red
really
eyes
nice.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Looks like, if you study them close, they look like aliens, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they are
Really
weird
nice.
plants. Does it smell like coffee?
Oh, I don't know. Smells a bit like cat's pee, to be honest.
Some of them really do smell of coffee. There's one at work. Whenever I walk past it, I just like, is somebody making coffee?
Mm.
Looks like the sunset already.
Sun's
Colour in the sky. No.
not really. We've got the farrier over there, so you can hear banging and crashing.
Oh, right.
Oh, I've had a hell of a day today. My car's broken.
Oh no. What, your Land Rover?
Yeah. Yeah. It broke on the way back from Birmingham last week, and I hadn't been able to get it in the special garage until today, and yeah, I think it's going to be about 1,200 quid.
Oh.
Yeah, not good, but they are.
Steph's
You
car's
have
in the
these big
garage
cars.
tomorrow.
Bloody cars are a pain in the backside.
They are expensive.
That's Constant. So our guest tonight, I was calling her Kelly.
No,
And I went,
it's
oh
not
my
Kelly.
God. And then I realised, oh my God, that's the name of the house, you idiot. Stop it. Your signal's gone really blocky.
Are you sure it's not yours? I've got full 5G.
I've got full Wi-Fi.
Weird.
Go on then, get her in.
So tonight we have a guest who, if you get on the wrong side of her, she might poison you with the plants from her poison garden. Living and running a B&B in what has been their family home for over 900 years. Let's get Sophia from Kelly House in.
Can't believe that. Yeah, I see, Sissy's even say you got Minecraft, Mark. It's yours. It's your rubbish 5G. When Ben used to go on 5G, it was rubbish.
Oh my God. Hello.
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 Sophia, not Kelly.
Yeah,
I'm so
I get it a lot.
sorry about that. I bet you do get it loads, don't you?
It's our surname as well, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just used to people calling me Kelly all the time.
Not Kelly, though.
Not that. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
How's the weather down there?
It's raining, so that's why I'm inside.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh no. And look at me and Mark sitting out in the lovely weather.
It only started about an hour ago, so we've actually had quite a lovely day.
Okay. We might get it in a bit then.
Maybe.
Washing up the country to us.
Tell
us whereabouts you are.
So we're on the Devon Cornish border between Tavistock and Lansdowne, so just off the A30 really. So, and I'm at a place called Kelly House.
Kelly House. And it's been your family home for 900 years.
Over 900 years, since 1086.
Wow. That is major history.
Yeah. So I'm currently sitting in the tea room, which you just got a glimpse of, which dates back to the 1400s. So that's the oldest part of the current house.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's mega old, isn't it?
Yeah. We're on our
It really
30th.
is. So you grew up there, did you?
Yeah, I grew up, this was mainly my grand's house, and then we lived in the stable block, which a lot of people don't believe. So I grew up, running around the gardens here, but they were quite overgrown when we sort of, my gran looked after them. The Victorian laurel planting was right up to the driveway. Our front lawn was a field, a fenced off field that we had Jacob sheep running around on. So the only
Lovely.
and then the bit that I use as the tea room garden was rented out with the flat that I currently live in with my husband and children. So though we had quite a big garden, it was actually
Oops.
we've been slowly restoring it since we inherited in 2007. We've been slowly restoring it and clearing the laurel. And I think about 5 years ago is when we managed to clear every bit of laurel so we could see from one end to the other.
Wow.
And I think we didn't just get we discovered our old driveway, which we didn't know we had. We thought it went a different way, and then we discovered that and stuff like that. So it's been quite fun. We've got another half of the other side of our lawn too. That's now walkable through, but it's still full of laurel. Yeah.
Ongoing project then.
Yes, definitely.
It's a project outside, and we all love being outside gardening.
Yeah, it's interesting because the garden, sort of we've got some really well-established plants. So we've got ginormous rhododendrons and things like that.
Yeah,
Because it was mostly designed in the 1860s by my seventh great-grandmother, Sophia, and then her daughter-in-law, Janet, took it on, and she was really into her plants, and she loved William Robinson, and she got all her books. We've got books of his with all her notes in it, and she used to subscribe to a garden magazine called The Garden, which was set up by William Robinson. It was a bit like probably Gardener's Question Time, but you'd write a letter in. It was apparently a weekly magazine, and you would like write a letter with your problem, and that letter would be answered in the next couple of issues, sort of thing. And Janet's near enough got a letter in most issues. She was quite a prolific writer and everything, and so it's quite interesting reading back. And then there's little notes everywhere and of what was planted. But unfortunately, we had to sell half the garden a few years ago for inheritance tax reasons. So because it used to be, well, we sold bits of the garden over the years. So we used to have a double, two-walled gardens, a mud wall one and a brick wall one, and then we had ornamental ponds, which was about 10 acres of ornamental ponds, and that's now attached to the old garden cottage.
Right.
So we're now reduced to 6 acres.
Oh.
10 acres is lawn, so.
Only 6 acres. Oh, lovely. Sounds fantastic. The whole the books and magazines and things with the notes and the letters and things in would be so interesting to read.
Yeah, we probably should do more with it. At the moment, we know where they all are.
Yeah.
We haven't. We're quite lucky that my great aunt did a lot of writing about the family history and lots of publications. So we've got like exact plant lists in some places and things like that, which it's quite good. And exactly when the garden. So all the gardeners, the one thing that Sophia and Arthur did, which, yeah, they took over in 1827 to 1873, and they trained their gardeners. So they were the first ones to send their head gardeners off to learn things on mostly how to grow. We had apparently quite a lot of fruit at that time, and it sort of carried on. And one of our gardeners served us for 60 years.
Wow.
So, what was it? He started in 1869 and left in 1925.
He must have known that garden like the back of his hand, didn't he?
And his children set up a floristry shop in Salisbury, which is still going, which is lovely.
Oh my God.
So his experience obviously got passed on to the next generations.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Isn't it nice hearing the history about things like that? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's nice to have photos. We've also got photos of them and stuff like that, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was a fun garden to grow up. Lots of dens, bacon.
Oh yeah, I bet. Oh, she's gone again.
Do I keep dropping out?
You do.
Oh damn! Let's see if I can move closer to the internet. No, right, I'm here. Right, let's see if I can better signal in this part of the tea room. Is that better?
It is at the moment.
We can hear you.
That's better underneath the. You can see that's the fire. That's the fireplace.
That is a proper fireplace. That is wow.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
So the house is now your living, is it? It's a B&B.
Yes. So we run a B&B and then we do events. So we do the spring event, which is one I'm sort of talking about, which is the poison in the garden, and then we do autumn event, which is a wool event, and then we run the B&B as well. So yeah, the house has to pay for itself. We sort of act like the house is a separate person.
Yeah.
And things like that.
But it
So
costs a fortune to heat.
we don't heat it. That's why I set up a wool festival, because I quite liked woolly jumpers.
Yeah. I bet it cool. I spend a fortune on oil to try and heat this place, let alone your old one. God.
Yeah, we're mostly on electric at the moment, but we have got one bit that's air sourced. But
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Tell us about the poison garden then. What's that about?
That started in 2021. Basically, it was a sort of idea. We were trying to. We opened the garden previously, I think since 2015. No, actually earlier than that. We were opening the garden as part of a village charity garden opening and things like that. But we never feel that, because the garden needs a lot of work, and it still does, that it's never one of those sort of show gardens that draw people. To always trying to come up with ideas. So during lockdown, like most people, I spent a lot of time in my garden with what then was my 2-year-old, and we sort of just went around and we basically just identified plants, and we spent a lot of time looking for bumblebees as well, and got lovely videos of them looking at bumblebees. But so it's sort of, she could name quite a lot. And you sort of got foxgloves, and you don't touch foxgloves, and explains that the reason why, because everybody knows foxgloves are poisonous, and we sort of don't ignore them. And then we came across a beautiful purple plant, and that was monkshood. So that was a fun one to find in your garden. And I grew up here with it, but we were always told as children you weren't allowed to touch the flowers because they were my grandmother's flowers, and you weren't. You would pick them
Different reasons.
for, the fear of God from the grandmother, So we grew up not picking any of the flowers, in the bits of garden that were definitely ornamental. And so to suddenly discover that you have monkshood, which is one of those deadliest plants in your garden, is a bit fun. But it sort of kept going on of, is this one poisonous? And I would sort of like look it up and go, actually that is. And some of them are really spicy. And I got up to a list of 30 plants, and I'm sitting there going, this is ridiculous, because half of them, I didn't know were poisonous. And they're all communal garden plants you could buy in the garden centre, or they were wild and stuff like that. And I was sitting there going, well, that's actually quite an interesting sort of angle. So we opened in 2020, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, with Poison in the Garden, and we started with 30 plants. I'm now up to 59 labelled. And I'm yet to plant one. So all the plants in the garden happen to be on the garden, or they were general sort of yearly plants that you sort of like sweet peas and stuff like that you would plant normally in begonia and things. So yeah, it's been an interesting project, and I love the reaction of gardeners who come around and just go, well, we've got weeds, and not realise. So most of the plants you have to consume to probably do yourself in. But not, some of them will sneak up on you. Like you were saying euphorbia earlier, that one with the sap of euphorbia. Most people know it will hurt your hands if you get sap on your hands, you wear gloves. But if you wipe that anywhere near your eyes, you're basically potentially going blind. So,
oh my God, really?
It's things like that. Then it's things that you can do accidentally, like you get the sap on your glove and brush, your hair or something out of your eye, and that's you blind for a few days at minimum, probably, and potentially that's it. So it's interesting, that sort of side of it, that and monkshood as well, that even touching it will make your hands go numb.
Wow.
So I find it fascinating. But one of the best stories we had, which we had after the first year we opened, we had a gentleman come round who he'd like brought a garden in 2019, and during lockdown he did what everybody else did, was gardening, and his garden was full of laurel, a bit like ours, and he got a bit bored of doing the bonfires, which is actually one of the safer ways of getting rid of it, and he decided to hire a chipper. So
Right.
it was one of those still, those beautiful spring morning, spring days we got, and he said still his garden is quite enclosed. It's in a sort of valley, so there wasn't much air, and he started chipping, and he got a really bad headache. So he went in, had a cup of tea and a biscuit, and sort of chatted with his wife, and then it was bright sunshine, so he went back out a bit, and he said he was having the best time of his life chipping, and he started getting short of breath, and he collapsed.
Wow.
Luckily, his wife noticed that he'd collapsed and rang 911. Otherwise, it might have been a different story. And he was rushed to hospital. And he spent they obviously tested him for COVID because.
Oh dear.
And nobody really knew what was wrong with him. But he got better and he was discharged. And he'd spent the next 8 months being tested for whatever, trying to find out why he got really bad shortness of breath, and he collapsed. And he was, the doctor was getting to the point where, oh, you just got anxiety attack. Like, I don't spend 4 days in hospital with that. And he came around the garden and he read our fact sheet on laurel. And the wonderful thing about laurel is it gives off cyanide every time you cut it. There's a gas, which smells of almonds, but something like up to 50% of males can't smell almonds and can't smell the cyanide gas. And so it's for some sort of weird reason. And so he obviously maybe not have picked up on the almonds or didn't really realise the significance of smelling almonds, which is and he sort of read it and went, all those symptoms I got. And yeah, and he was delighted. He was sitting going to see the doctor tomorrow, telling him I was
My God. So he was sitting there chipping away and the fumes got him.
Yeah, because it was such a still day. And what's really interesting is we one of our neighbours chipped a load of laurel, even though I did tell them this story. But anyway, and they said, "Oh, you can have the chippings if you want." And we waited probably about 6 weeks before we decided to move them and digging them out. And we moved one wheelbarrow, and we all had headaches by that point because
No,
those
really?
are amazingly strong. And I said, headache's the first symptom with Sophia.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down that street. But yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? You just wouldn't think it. Really wouldn't think it.
Such a common plant as well.
It's such a common hedge plant, and lots of people, wonderfully pack it up and stick it in the back of their car and then drive to the dump.
Yeah.
And there is stories, especially from Alnwick, which is the famous poison garden, which is of people basically getting a little bit fainty and driving off the road, or really bad headaches and things like that. So yeah, it was used traditionally by the Victorians to kill butterflies for their butterfly collections. You put one leaf in a jam jar, and that was enough to kill a butterfly.
Oh my God.
It's an amazing plant, but yeah, if you smell almonds, just be careful.
So I think that it was obviously your parents that said don't touch any of the plants. That's probably the best thing to do with kids, isn't it? Don't pick and choose which one they can and can't. Just say don't touch any, because you never know.
Yes, my children are allowed to pick dandelions.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with a dandelion.
Dandelions and make daisy chain, and that's about it.
Yeah. They do know. My oldest is very good at poison plants, and she's actually, told her friends off picking plants from on our lists and things like that. So, and then the parents come and check with me, and I'm yeah, good,
Yeah.
yeah. If your child eats it, that's a heart attack.
Bloody hell. So paint us a picture of the actual garden then, size and what it looks like. And
So it's open, so we get everything's inside. Yeah,
wow,
I have a.
they've got
There we
props.
go. I have a map. I don't know if you can see. So we've got the house in the middle, which is there, and then we've got a massive front lawn, which is an acre front lawn, and then we've got woodland either side of the front lawn, and then that's our tea room garden, and then it's mostly a parking yard with that one. So that's sort of it. It's woodland, mostly woodland with a massive front lawn in the middle of it. But the front
So where's the poison
lawn's got a
garden?
sunken. What?
Where's the poison garden?
The whole garden's the poison garden.
Oh, I see. I thought I thought you had them all in one small space where you could. Oh, I understand now. I get you. I get you.
We open the whole garden and
Ah,
put labels around the garden of the 59 plants that we currently have labelled. So, yeah. So we don't have a set poison garden. So it's not, because none of the plants were purposely planted
no.
for being poisoned. And actually, I've almost gone the other way. I only buy edible plants.
Yeah. Try and dilute them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've labelled. I think I've got 2 more to label. Things, but they all vary. So we've obviously got mustard, which will drop you about 1 gram if you consume it, and obviously it's not brilliant to touch even.
Oh.
And then that goes right through to the other 2 really toxic ones, the laburnum, which a lot of people know,
I didn't.
and you don't know
What, a normal
laburnum?
laburnum?
Yeah, laburnum's poisonous.
That's why they got rid of so many of them, isn't it? Because they had that reputation for being poisonous. They chopped them all down.
They poisoned 2 children in the 1970s in the schoolyard because they were eating the seed pod.
Wow. Don't they smell really nice? She's gone again.
Even the sticks of laburnum, if you throw it for your dog, if it's a fresh stick, your dog might not survive that walk. It's that poisonous.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful plant. I'm not saying not to plant any of these plants, just be aware. Don't just go and eat random stuff. So yeah, laburnum's the second most poisonous tree in this country, I think, and the first one is obviously is yew, which is quite toxic. The most toxic bit is the pip inside. Well, you call them berries, but they're not technically called berries. But the pip inside the berries, I think it's something like 10 of those. If you chew them up, will kill an adult, and about 5 will kill a child. It's all to do with weight poisoning. It's how heavy you are.
That is ridiculous.
Use every.
So there's stories of you where people have got slightly ill from cutting it and like aerosoling it basically when you're cutting it with a mass hedge trimmer. Yeah. But the wonderful thing about yew is that, especially in bigger states with the huge hedges, they collect all the yew clippings, and that gets sent off to make cancer treatment. Yeah. So it's, even though it's really toxic, it does have a real good benefit. And most of these toxic plants do. So they're like, they're just like in the medicine cabinet. You just need to know your dosage. Yeah. Really. And the problem is plants can change their doses depending on habitat and everything else, growing conditions, if they've been attacked recently. So, yeah, it's always best to get not just to go and randomly chew on a leaf, because you never quite know how much you're getting.
That's weird, because I do things like that. I'll just, if I'm walking past, I'll snap something off and nibble it or play with it. Or not anymore, bloody won't. God.
You've made it this far.
That's scary, isn't it?
it's the thing of the you get a set of circumstances that will, can end up with you being poisoned. That hundreds of times you'd go out to the garden and you'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Just that one thing, because it's something like one of the stories from Manic is with willow. They have willow on their trail, which we haven't labelled up, but it was the fact that when willow gets attacked by things like deer and stuff, it increases the acid in it, which is a precursor to aspirin. And so you could snap off a twig and chew it, and it'd be like getting taking 1 or 2 aspirin. If a deer had gone through and chewed the whole lot of it, it could be the equivalent of taking 300. So, yeah, sort of the fact that it can change so dramatically.
Overdose.
What happens?
So you've obviously, since, when was it, 21 you started this?
Yeah.
You've obviously swatted up loads on all these plants.
Yes. The amount of times I've Googled poison is probably, I should be on a watch list.
I bet they are.
If I'm not, I'd be very disappointed. But yeah, I'm constantly learning. And what's really fascinating is we have people like the guy with the laurel. We have people who turn up and tell us their poisoning story, where they poisoned themselves in some wonderful random way.
Wow.
And ended up in hospital because they did this, and this, and they, and so we've had a couple of gentlemen who ended up in hospital with reading hemlock from water banks, and they said I think it's about 2 wheelbarrows of just pulling it up, not even consuming it, and things like that. And they've ended up in hospital with that. It's so it's all quite fun. All these random ways people get ill, and I think, and you get a lot of people who've been around the garden and gone, yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Or I always get a rash when I go near this plant. That includes that.
But there's not warnings on plants when you buy them, is there?
Not that many, no. They're starting to. So that's what I find monkshood really scary. So I went to a garden centre the other day and there was a pink monkshood and I almost bought it because I was quite excited by the fact that it was a different colour. But I didn't it was paying down with rain, so I didn't get close enough to actually see it. It got a warning, but it was just sitting there perfectly happily. Yeah, that's one thing that's quite scary, is that there are some that you should really be careful around that don't have any warnings on. There has been an increase. I have noticed there's an increase of plants that say "do not eat" on them on the bottom of the label, which is quite good, because one of my favourite hobbies is going through Instagram, finding poisonous plants and flowers on cakes. So I've got lots of like screenshots of poisonous flowers on cakes, which is wonderful. My favourite one was hellebore. It was on an event cake. Somebody served this to someone, and that one, I think that baker's quite prolific of putting poisonous flowers on cakes. They put rhododendrons on wedding cakes and stuff like that. And they haven't made them by Sugarcraft, because usually if you're that good at Sugarcraft, you do mention that Sugarcraft, because there's a one cake baker I follow who puts beautiful flowers on the cake, but all Sugarcraft. Right. So she actually put that going, this is not a poisonous flower, this is actually made out of sugar. Because I've seen foxgloves on cakes, but they're actually sugar, and they look so realistic. And you can go on courses to learn how to make Sugarcraft foxgloves. But yeah, this person put hellebore on a cake. And what I love about hellebore in, I think it's 585 BC, the Greeks used it to besiege a town that they were having a little discussion, war with, and they found their water supply and filled it with hellebore to feed all the people in the town, and then just walked in. The advantage of hellebore, you have to consume quite a lot to be fatal, but you're not going to have a good day if you eat it. You're looking at vomiting and other wonderful, delightful things. So they poisoned the whole town and basically just walked in and took over. So and then there's somebody, 1,000, 100 loads of years later putting them on wedding cakes. It's and I always wondered how many people went to that wedding and was feeling quite ill the next day and blamed it on like the prawn cocktails
Yeah,
or
of course he would. Yeah.
the amount of alcohol they drank, and actually it's to do with the cake.
How much are hellebore flowers? It just wouldn't. Never even think. I've never thought of it. Never. I just, I knew a few foxgloves and things like that. But to be honest, where was that other place you just said that had a garden?
Alnwick Gardens. It's in Northumberland.
Ah, because
They have a poison garden.
I'm sure it was in Ireland. Where's the castle with the Blarney Stone? Where you kiss the Blarney Stone?
Not that
I can't remember. Well, wherever that is, it's just that special stone where you lay upside down
Yeah.
and kiss it. They had a toxic garden as well, and I can remember walking around there. This was years ago, and I wasn't into gardening, so I wouldn't remember any of the names.
Yeah.
But they had all little skull and crossbones and the names of them,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun subject because quite a lot of them are used in medicine and things like that. There's a famous one in Italy. The Medici's had an apothecary garden basically, and apparently that inspired Annex because all of them were used, but they were famous for poisoning loads of people anyway, aren't they? That family, the Medici family,
Bloody hell.
they did that. And, the Elizabethan time, they go around.
Oh, it's in Cork. It's in Cork.
All right. I'll have to put that on my list of places to visit.
Yeah, I'll have a look and see it's where the Blarney Stone is. It's in a castle. You walk up and kiss the stone upside down for some reason. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, the most famous, sort of poisonous plant we do is have monkshood, which is aconite wolfbane is the other names for it. And so that's the sort of the most deadly one. We don't have any of the really, we don't have belladonna. Apparently it doesn't grow in this part of the world anyway. We have woodland nightshade, but we don't have belladonna, and we don't have henbane and all those other sort of slightly...
Gone. Sorry, you went. You disappeared again. Are they all the really bad ones? Are they the bad belladonna and all them?
Yeah. So belladonna is a famous, probably fun, famous one that sort of what's his other name? Can't remember what it's. That's what's wonderful about belladonna is that was used it was used as a beauty thing in the 16th century. They would drop droplets into their eyes to make their eyes dilate.
Oh my God!
It would also make you slightly blind, so it would give you probably the ultimate sort of beer goggles, because you would be slightly blind for a few days. But you'd be very beautiful for your suitors.
So what is belladonna then? What colour is it? Is it purple?
So, it's a purple flower. It's part of the potato family.
Isn't that weird? I had a Mondeo when I was about 25, and it was purple, and the colour of the Ford colour was belladonna. I can remember that name.
Yeah, Deadly Nightshade is another name. I couldn't remember its other name.
Oh, Deadly Nightshade. Oh wow. Yeah, mental.
Yeah, so we don't have that one, but we have enough, I think.
You must have to have warnings up everywhere.
We have
signs.
Little skull and crossbones everywhere, and we have a sort of thing explaining what a poisonous substance is, because poison doesn't necessarily mean death. It just means it will cause you harm. Yeah. So I have things marked, like I have hogweed marked up, and I get a lot of things, especially from foragers, which sort of saying, "Oh no, we eat hogweed," because you can eat the hogweed buds and things like that. This is common hogweed, not giant hogweed. It's a different plant, and the hogweed. But if you cut a lot of hogweed, if you end up with a sap on it, it produces and you expose that to the sun, you can end up with blisters.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's why I've got that marked up, because
So what about the old rhubarb leaf then? Is that really as bad as everybody says?
it's reasonably bad, yeah. Probably if you eat enough of it. You have to eat a reasonable amount. It's got, can't remember, I want to say oxalic acid. I'm not sure if I'm right. But the interesting thing about rhubarb leaves is they have a lot of safety things with dyeing, because you can use them in as a mordant to dye fabric. And so you boil them up with the wool to help the colour stick to the wool. And there is, this wonderful, this gas is given off, and that will cause breathing problems. I know a few people who had that happen because it's natural. It's natural. Everybody believes everything natural is wonderful for you. So you boil up all these leaves and then basically cause them toxic gas. So, breathing problems. So yeah, but yeah, we've currently got our rhubarb marked up. Because I quite like the fact that some of the edible plants are poisonous. So my favourite one is cordial, which I've got marked up.
Favourite one is what? Sorry?
Courgettes and
No,
squashes.
no.
Is it? Am I breaking up
A
again?
little bit. I've got a coughing fit.
So is it just the leaf of the courgette that's poisonous?
No. So a gentleman died.
Courgettes.
Yeah, a gentleman died in 2015.
Because of it being crossbred?
From being crossbred. So you know about that?
No.
So
Yeah, wife cooked him something, didn't she, or something?
yeah. So the courgettes from the neighbour's garden. So it's called toxic squash syndrome, which
I heard about this a couple of years ago and thought, what a load of rubbish.
yeah, well, in 2015 died of it.
No,
So if you go to all
God.
these wonderful seed swaps and pick up some courgettes or some pumpkin seeds, you might be growing toxic vegetables, basically. So it's quite an interesting. It's if you get things like pumpkins and courgettes, you're growing them quite close to each other, and then you save the seed, and the plant from that seed will potentially cause toxic vegetables, basically.
What? How many people in this world save pumpkin seeds?
And then loads. So it's a very small percentage that happen, but it does happen, and a lot of people will put it down to because the resulting vegetables will be quite bitter.
Okay.
So we had a couple last year who said that they'd picked up a pumpkin from one of those, roadside honesty box scheme things, and did it, and they made it into a mash. So they had it quite simple on its own, and they both took one taste of it and said, no, that was the most disgusting thing they'd ever. It was really bitter.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they didn't eat anymore, and they ended up with basically food poisoning for the next 24 hours.
Good
so
God.
that's your mild symptom. 2 ladies in France in 2017 did similar things where they brought pumpkins, and they were 2 separate incidents. So they weren't eating the same pumpkin, and they ate a bit more. So they made theirs into pumpkin soup. So whether they added more spices to hide the taste or things like that, but they both had eaten pumpkin soup, and it takes about 2 weeks. And so they got quite bad food poisoning initially, and then 2 weeks later you lose all your hair.
Oh, wow.
So that was so they presented at hospital with a lot of hair loss, like what was happened.
Good
So
God.
So I think most people who will have maybe bad food poisoning for 24 hours and don't eat enough to actually get to the point. But the thing is, you just have to be careful, because otherwise you're wasting all that space growing vegetables that you're not going to be able to eat. And yeah, the gentleman in 2015 had got courgettes from a neighbour's garden. They made it into a stew, and he died from the poisoning. So and then I
Wow.
put that to that. So it's quite a fun one to write up because everyone's going, oh,
Yeah.
courgettes are fine, and they are fine as long as you don't buy random ones. And I think it's more just to be careful because, you don't want to waste all that space growing these whopping great
No.
plants because courgettes and pumpkins aren't exactly big, small
No.
plants. And then finding out you can't actually eat vegetables because they're all bitter and toxic, basically.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? There must be so many people save seeds.
Yeah,
I
those are the
I
ones
opened I opened one today and to save the seeds. I think they're all gone anyway, but I do it all the time. I'm not going to do it now.
so anything from the cucumber family.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a quash or something last year that you licked and it was really bitter?
Yeah. It made my tongue go tingly.
Yeah, so that might have been it. Was that from a save seed?
I can't remember. What was it?
It was was it a tromboncino?
I think it was tromboncino. And they were quite possibly saved because I had loads the year before.
Yeah.
I'd done a reel about it or some stories
Yeah,
definitely about licking it. It made my tongue go numb. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Like,
Right, that's it.
too much of it.
F1 pumpkin seeds all the way.
So it's the same with cucumbers and melons as well, for the other ones in the family.
God.
So I think cucumbers are less likely because you usually grow cucumbers in like greenhouses, so they're less likely to be cross-pollinated. But yeah,
But if you've got a few different varieties, I don't keep seeds from cucumbers and courgettes because I don't let them go to seed. But pumpkins you do because they're sitting there with the seeds in them, don't they?
Yeah. So yeah, it's fine if you just want to carve them at Halloween.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
No.
but you won't know, will you, until you
Do
bite
you eat
into one or lick it like I did. I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna have a look back through my reels and stories and see what I can find. I'm
Yeah.
sure it was a
So,
tromboncino because it was a bit sappy as well, almost like a clear sap on it.
it might have been something different, but it could have been. Yeah, look up toxic squash syndrome. It's what it's called.
I think it was then. Maybe it weren't
But
last year, Mark. Maybe the year before. And somebody said to me about that, and I went, "Nah, there's no such thing. You pull on my leg." But obviously, I had a read up and heard there was something. But you've just absolutely blown my mind. It's crazy.
So I think it's one of my favourite discoveries. So I buy courgettes every year, so I try and make sure that my courgettes aren't toxic, but I do have them labelled up.
So someone's put in the comments saying, would you recommend trying a tiny bit of the fruit raw?
No. Well, it depends. Sort of maybe raw if you want to see if you're growing toxic things, but it depends if you want to be. So the couple that had the pumpkin, they only had a mouthful each, and 24 hours attached to blossom grey. So
But that's only from the previous year's seeds if it's cross pollinated.
yeah.
So it won't be.
If you know where the seeds come from, they should.
You're pretty okay. So it's things like if a bee had visited a courgette and then visited a pumpkin.
Right.
So it's that combination.
But it wouldn't affect those fruits of that year.
You're growing. So that's the win.
So just don't save pumpkin and cucumber seeds.
Not if you want to eat them.
Unless you're doing it by hand pollinating them and tying up the flowers and doing all of that sort of nonsense.
No, I did do some hand pollinating, but I grow about 15 down my squash arch, so they're bound to be
mixed.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's between if you have different varieties of pumpkin. I'm not sure whether that's the problem.
Okay. So
I haven't fully gone into depth in that.
Well, over the next couple of weeks, can you have a good read up, please?
Yeah,
So who said that? Who said that, Mark? I daren't touch my comments.
Jenny.
Basically, buy the seeds from your supplier.
yeah,
Yeah, don't
basically.
save your own seeds. I'm not going to bother anymore. I've got a pumpkin. I've got the green fleshed one, Mark. I cut that open to save the seeds, but that's one from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
don't do it.
I'm gonna buy another packet.
It also
Oh, there.
might not be the same if you planted those seeds. It might not necessarily come true to that fruit either, because again, if they've been crossed,
Yeah.
it'll be a completely different pumpkin.
Yeah. Yeah. How many people closely look at what pumpkins that might have been crossed with a courgette or something, just to see
So let me
the
just
pumpkin.
get it clear then. So if it's a pumpkin cross with a pumpkin, you won't get the toxic squash.
Well, I don't know that. I just know if it's a pumpkin crossed with a courgette or a melon, then you will get the toxic squash
Right. Okay.
or potential.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fascinating subject
Really is. Bloody hell.
that takes.
That's shocked me. That has. I'm definitely going to look back, see if that was. I'm sure it was a trombone, wasn't it?
I'm sure it
Yeah,
was. I remember
because
seeing the video.
it was almost seeping with this sap, jelly sap stuff. And I went,
I regretted it.
wave a tongue. Can't feel my tongue.
It's also amazing how plants change when they flower and things like that. There's a lot of plants on my list that are perfectly fine until they flower. So,
Oh, really?
or the really young ones you can eat, and then as soon as they get to a certain age, and that's things even down to things like nettle. So nettle, everybody knows is okay. They're
Yeah.
used widely in medicine and things, and people have nettle tea every day. But when nettles flower, they have a chemical in that it's like a little crystal that gets stuck in, I think, your kidneys and
Oh,
causes basically problems with that.
Wow.
And so, it's little things like as soon as something flowers, it can completely change its chemical makeup, which I find fascinating. But it's not all
Then
plant.
it's going to the next stage of its life cycle, I guess,
Yeah.
because
yeah.
once flowered, they are either going to put the energy back into the root for next year,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
drop leaves
Yeah.
or whatever.
The chemical balance has changed completely, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that
So,
plant.
you're sitting and go, oh, that's edible, especially in the foraging world. You can go, oh, that's
Yeah.
edible, and you're going, really, not now. It was edible. So,
So you
yeah,
not long put a reel out doing Tom Ratford's what was it, 10
yeah,
plants?
10 edible plants.
10 edible plants in your
Yeah,
own garden.
yeah.
Crazy woman.
So doing
Did
a
you?
lot of research in this, you find I have gone down the foraging route.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
I spend a lot of time looking at how, yeah, basically poisoning and foraging, which is quite interesting. And yeah, so I've learned. Tom's been here a couple of times. He's doing a walk later in May here as well.
Ah,
Um, so yeah, so I've sort of learned a bit from him and a couple of other of my foraging friends, and one of them is currently doing something called the Wild Biome Project, which is where they only eat wild food, um,
wow.
which is a fascinating project. I think it's 120 that this year. So yeah, we so I've got that side as well. I've learned I don't eat much. I know it's edible, but I don't eat it.
God, that's so interesting. I can see why you've thrown yourself into it a bit.
Yeah. No, it is great fun, and it's sort of it's just little random things you discover about a plant,
Yeah.
um, and how they can help in the medical world, like snowdrops and sort of daffodils and things, the bulbs from that. are being used. There's a chemical in that that's used for Alzheimer's treatment.
Wow.
So it is amazing how these sort of toxic plants sort of thing. I do love daffodils because they were a surprise how toxic they were.
Mm.
And they even poisoned the flowers. That if you put them in a vase with other flowers, they'll poison the other flowers. So they're quite ruthless. But there's this wonderful story with daffodils where a lady was having a coffee with her friend who brought her around a bunch of daffodils, and she just grabbed a pint glass from the cupboard and stuck them in there. And her friend left, and she moved them into a proper vase and left the pint of water on the kitchen table. In the meantime, her husband came in and downed the pint of water because he'd just been for a run. And she walked back in and he said, "Oh, that water tastes funny." And she went, "Well, the daffodils were in it," thinking not much of it. And he ended up in hospital with irregular heartbeat.
Oh
But
my God.
they knew what he'd taken basically to cause that problem, so they could treat it. Just a
Jeez.
simple thing of downing a pint of water that had daffodils sat in it for about half an hour.
Half an hour.
It was just sort of extraordinary, really.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, if you wanted to bump someone off, that's easy.
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
They test for all these things. So
Up your daffodil bulbs with your onions, that's for sure.
yeah, there's supermarkets that seem to do that every year. Stick daffodil bulbs as
Is that?
onions. Yeah, there seemed to be always a headline where a supermarket's put daffodils next to onions 1 year.
No way.
I've got to get the marketing stuff to get them out there or something. It seems to be constant.
You must have a fantastic time talking to all the people come and see your garden, telling them all these stories.
It's fascinating hearing stories from them.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and it is fun, sort of shocking people on how how deadly certain things. And everyone's going, "Oh, but I ate one of those, and 10 years ago, and I was fine."
Do you do tours around the garden, taking groups?
I do occasional tours around the garden. I did a Halloween tour last year and things like that. So, but mostly when people come here, it's a self-guided tour. So you go around and read all the labels, and they're all next to examples of the plant. So,
What's that say?
Daffodil sapphires.
Daffodils, that will kill other flowers. Yeah, that's what you just said. It's phenomenal, isn't it? Absolutely phenomenal.
As Jenny said about a lady who purchased a bunch of spring onions that were actually daffodils in bud from Tesco.
Yeah, joking.
Every year.
Just pick up the wrong thing whilst walking down the veg aisle. It's quite easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
They sort of look like it when they're in bud.
I think you might notice, though, I don't think they have the same taste.
Yeah, they're not going to give off that smell, are they?
No, bloody hell. No.
So, but sort of other bulbs that we're eating, it's like I find wonderful thing about tulip bulbs. They're all classed as famine food because unless you prepare them correctly, they are toxic.
Right.
But during the Second World War, they in Holland, they obviously had got to a point where they were all sort of having famine, and the only thing they had to eat was daffodil bulbs. Not daffodil, tulip bulbs. So they there was like double-page spreads in the newspapers to tell you how to prepare them correctly, because they're actually, when you do eat them, they're meant to be quite a good source of starch. So if you've got nothing else to eat, which is I think most of the population did, that was a good option. So that's what the government did there when the Germans sort of took over. But what was really fascinating about it was that there were a lot of sort of sick children in hospital, and they were they were eating these tulip bulbs and getting better. While everybody else was like, on starvation, just eating tulip bulbs and thinking, this is really bad. All these children were getting sort of much better. And they're going, well, this doesn't make sense. These were all like really sickly children and then sort of they managed to get sort of rations back and sort of get hold of bread and things like that and started feeding the children like a sort of slightly more normal diet. And the children got all sick again. And that's how the celiac disease was discovered.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Because all these sick children weren't sick while eating tulip bulbs, while the rest of the nation was getting iller, all these other children were getting better. And as soon as it got to the point where everybody could eat a bit of bread or something back again, all the children got sick. And that was the start of the study into actually eating, gluten and stuff.
Wow.
So it's fascinating how such a sort of awful circumstance would lead to something that sort of was discovered, which is a recent thing I've just found out, which I think is brilliant.
Wow.
Freezing.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Jenny celiac. Oh my
Well,
God.
that's how I
You poor
discovered that
bugger.
was a thing. Was
Unbelievable.
in Holland during the Second World War, eating tulips.
So what about normal gardening? Do you do normal gardening, or are you all poisonous?
No, I try to only. So I've started doing vegetable. I'm an awful gardener. I will. I'm one of these people who will plant a courgette and will have 3 courgettes of it, and everybody
like
else
Mark.
literally gives you a courgette every time they meet you. Courgettes. It's in a certain season. I'm not one of them. I will be one that very much prizes my one courgette that I've managed to get off the
You can
farm.
be in Mark's club.
Yeah.
We can't grow courgettes. I've with the rhubarb in the garden, I think I'm on my 6th rhubarb. And that's flowering now. It's probably going to die, but I thought I'd leave the flower because it's interesting. Things like that. So if I get anything out of the garden, it's a miracle. But I did win a prize for beetroot when I was about 9.
Yeah.
I've grown that one. Never again. Never been able to grow it again, but I won a prize one year in the village show.
You obviously growing when you were younger then, when you was a child.
Yeah, we had a my parents had a vegetable patch, but none of us are particularly brilliant, which is a shame because my grandfather used to grow flowers for Covent Garden. He used to be a market gardener.
Wow.
And so was his father as well. So we had 2 generations of market gardeners really expertly growing flowers and stuff. And then when it came to my parents, I don't think they picked it up really that much. So I grew up with like broad beans and runner beans and beetroot and occasional courgettes when they appeared. So I'm trying to do that. We're growing radishes this year, which my son's very proud of. I've got a picture of him. He's 4 and he grew his first radish.
Brilliant.
The smallest radish now, but
Maybe he's the next master gardener.
Yeah, maybe he's inherited his great grandfather's skills.
Fantastic.
And I'm currently obsessed with nasturtiums because they're edible. They're completely
They're
edible
lovely,
nasturtiums.
aren't they? I absolutely love nasturtiums. All of it.
Yeah,
Leaves,
so
plants, leaves, flowers, and the little seeds.
they're wonderful things. So I brought a purple one called Purple Emperor, and there's one called Bloody Mary, which is yellow with red splotches through it, and I think I've got a salmon one, and I've got a bright pink one and stuff. So I've got all the ones that I think I've got 7 different varieties.
Oh, lovely.
They've been growing from seeds. They're currently that big.
Nice. They just spread so quickly, don't they? They take over your whole bloody bed.
Well, I hope so. Something might be something I don't kill.
Something else I never have any success.
What, nasturtium?
I've grown them once, but they, everyone's like, "Oh, they'll be. You'll never get rid of them." Never seen another
Oh
one.
my God, they just filled the whole bed just within days. But then the caterpillars came and munched them within a few days as well.
Yeah. So,
With millions of caterpillars on the leaves.
yeah, I've got a gardening friend who's got, I think, 2 national collections of plants, and
Oh, wow.
she's sort of desperate to get us to do gardening. Um, and so she guerrilla gardens for us. So she will turn out one day and there'll be just a text message going, "I've planted this in this bed, this bed." So she's so quite a lot of my garden is full of plants that she's just randomly planted in my bed.
Lovely.
And it's been taken over, so at least I've kept them alive. But I've killed, what's it, the other things? Artichokes? Meant to be like, you're meant to be able to grow
What,
them, no problem.
Jerusalem? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've killed
yeah. They
two
grow
of
like
those.
weeds.
No.
Mine are all about, there's about 1,000 of them, all about 3
Mm.
inches tall at the minute.
Yeah, if you send them down my way, they won't survive. So
Yeah, they're
yeah, I do
crazy.
attempt. I attempt to gardening, but I'm not. So it is very much they're going. All the plants. It's the other thing I say about our garden. Our garden is incredibly low maintenance because if it doesn't survive, we're not fussing over our plants.
Yeah.
They will be put in the ground and they have to survive.
Mm.
So you can come around our garden and find all the plants that should be hardy in the area and should be good for putting in the ground and leaving and
Yeah.
looking around. We occasionally remember to water them, but they do have to be pretty
Wow.
tough. So,
All the
so we've got
poison in the ground.
Exactly, yeah.
well, that's the thing. Like rhododendrons poison all the ground around it, and so do laurel and things. So nothing will go under a rhododendron really, and things like that. So they make brilliant dens, rhododendrons,
Oh, yeah.
because they're like hollow
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my childhood around rhododendron, sort of hiding in rhododendrons, basically.
There's, we're quite close to Sandringham, and so we can go walking in Sandringham Woods, and it's just absolutely full of rhododendrons. That's it. Rhododendrons and big pine trees. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. No,
It looks
it's
fantastic when
quite
they're all in flower, but
yeah,
big old.
we've only got really Cornish red down here, so but they're quite big. They're sort of 20 foot high, and so they're
Massive
quite well.
ones.
Mm, mm, yeah, which is good. Yeah.
Yes, Jenny, Sandringham is amazing. It's really nice. Mm.
Tell us
Wow.
about Country House Rescue then.
Oh God, that was 15 years ago. That was. Yes, we did go do Country House Rescue, and it wasn't brilliant. So, but we then that spurred the opening to the house, so that started the tea room and the opening in the garden. And I think we just randomly we opened the house in all its wonderful glory. But we do look back at it and sort of look at the house and go, no, it didn't look like that. Honestly, it's all Photoshop.
So that was obviously a TV program.
Yes, it was. Theoretically, somebody would come in and give you an idea of a plan of what you could do with the place to save the country house.
Yeah.
The successful ones, we've had a few friends who were quite successful on it, but they had a business plan and a loan in place and had got everything done, and the TV crew happened to just come and film it. We had no idea what to do with the place. We recently inherited it. Me and my husband moved back down, I think, a week before we started filming, because I randomly applied, just thinking, going to be young. And then suddenly they're going, oh yeah, we're going to come and film in a week. And it's like, right, okay. And so, yeah. And it was a year of filming, which didn't conclude or give us any idea what to do with the place.
Oh my God.
And then it went out on national TV, which was great fun. So, but
I'm going to have to look for that. That must be somewhere.
it probably is somewhere. But because we weren't one of their success stories, we get hidden quite a lot, which is brilliant. So you really have to do
But
it. Things,
that's quite crazy, isn't it, having a film crew with you all the whole year?
they filmed every 2 months. They'd turn up for 2 or 3 days
All right.
and film, and then they would leave. And they got a group of the Prince's Trust to come and do work, and that was amazing because they came and did bits of work, but not the bits we wanted them to do. So yeah, we still have bits of work that nobody's touched since they left, and it was amazing. The TV crew left, and they left like 2 hours before the filming stopped,
Oh,
with
what?
half the projects, and we're just sitting there going, well, what are we meant to do with that now? And
We're back.
we did re-roof our privy, which means we've got a re-roof privy, but what's the most important thing that we needed doing?
Oh,
So
bloody hell.
yeah,
Unbelievable. Penny's
so yeah,
just Penny's
so that's how it.
just said about a beautiful sky. Sorry.
So yeah, so that's how it all started. So we did Country House Rescue, opened the house to the public, which was a little bit crazy, just to throw open the doors, and we had like a neighbour sit in every room, like a National Trust person,
Yeah.
and did a tea room, and we've been doing sort of events and coming up with ideas ever since. Then we did up the B&B. We got enough sort of money together to do up 3 rooms in the house as a bed and breakfast, which is what we run now during the summer months when it's warmer. When it
Do your
doesn't.
kids realise what they've got to take over in about 30 years' time?
I don't know. We're trying not to. We're hopefully going to get it to a point where it's actually something nice to take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, it's a big thing to do, and yeah, trying to come up with new ideas and on a budget, basically.
Yeah. I bet.
But we're still here. A lot of people have given up by now.
Lots of hard graft, I imagine.
Yeah, lots of learning random skills, and it's always the best laid plans. You decide that you're going to get enough money together to do this project, and then something random happens, like a bit of ceiling falls down in a bit of room you didn't know needed the ceiling done, and or you get a leak or things. But we have been lucky. We've got a couple of really, really good builders who really know how to deal with historic houses, which is a challenge in itself to find decent tradesmen who know how to deal with all this stuff and not just have a heritage certificate.
I guess the building's listed.
Yeah, it's grade 1.
Yeah, grade 1. Oh God, that's horrendous. You got
So
to check in with everything, haven't you? Every time you want to do anything, you have to ask if you can.
Near enough.
Yeah.
So that's always a challenge and how to deal with that side of it. So.
Unbelievable. Brilliant. So tell everybody where you are so we all know where to come.
So I'm at Kelly House, and I run an event called Poison in the Garden, which runs April, May and June every Sunday and Monday. We're also part of the 2 for 1 Gardeners World scheme as well. So
Okay.
in that magazine.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're on the Devon Cornish border near Lanston and Tavistock, just off the A30. So if you're travelling into Cornwall, we're probably only 10 minutes from the A30.
Driven past that many times.
Yeah, you probably pass Lifton quite a lot. So, yeah, Cornwall.
Well, next time, Mark, take a detour next time.
So
But follow the directions on our website, not the sat nav, unless you really want to. You always tell the people who followed the sat nav, not our directions, because they always look slightly dazed when getting here.
Had an argument in the car on the way there.
Oh
yeah, this
dear.
is one of the three I wrote.
So if you're close to the border between the two, which way do you do your cream teas?
Oh my
So we
goodness.
do them all. I do them cream first because I'm on the Devon side,
Definitely.
which is the correct way of doing them, of course. Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
know.
cream
I don't
teas
know.
are great fun. Yeah, people get so upset about green teas. Just sitting there going, just eat them. The only interesting thing is when we've had sort of we had an American couple come in at one point, and instead of splitting the scone, they put the cream and the jam on top of the whole scone.
Oh my goodness. What on earth?
So trying to explain you actually split it and how to eat. So we did bus tours for 1 year, and that was all. It was called Best of Devon and Cornwall, which was spent only 2 days in Devon and Cornwall. The rest of the time was travelling from Heathrow down to Devon. It was a crazy bus tour. But I'm glad. But yeah, we would serve cream teas to 50 people within an hour and do a house tour. So it was quite crazy. But so I feel quite good at explaining how a cream tea, and you'd get lovely questions like how you tell the difference between clotted cream and butter.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
love clotted cream.
it's a great thing. I used to work for a clotted cream
Oh,
manufacturer, so learned how to make it.
Penny says always cream first, but what jam?
So we
Proper
serve in our tea
strawberry.
in two different types. So we do strawberry, but for a twist, I do blackcurrant, which I quite like.
Oh wow.
So
Black
you
currant.
get you do get different cream teas down here. So we've got there's a house up in near Crediton who serves it with do ginger jam, ginger scones. They make ginger scones and they serve that with cream and I think a rhubarb jam or something.
Wow.
So, so you
Sounds
do get
weird.
variations down here now, and we do cheese scones as well occasionally. So which
Oh,
is
cheese gone, lovely.
cream cheese and chutney. So
Cheese and
it's
chutney.
Talking of
uh,
weird things, Easter just gone by. How many strange flavours of hot cross buns were there? Oh my good God. No thank
I had
you.
a weird one. I had coffee and chocolate.
that
No,
sounds good. No,
It
no,
was really
standard
nice.
one. Standard hot cross bun only, that's it, please. No funny weird things.
chocolate.
Definitely not.
I like the
No, no,
chocolate one.
you can't do that. Can't do that.
If we're going down weird things about Easter, the bloody Easter eggs being flat is the weird thing.
You put that story up earlier with that bloke shouting, didn't you?
Well, Steph's Easter egg was the same. It was squashed. It's not an egg. It's an oval.
Maybe the machine went wrong.
They're all like it. They're scrimping.
That's what they're doing. Instead of putting the prices up, they make it smaller. We know that. Think about what size a Mars bar is now when it was when you was 10. Twice the size. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Red currant jam. Oh, I like jam. I like jam any jam really.
Yeah.
Right, it's that time of the night.
Oh no.
We want some good answers.
No pressure on.
No pressure. Lightning round time. So first one is, what is your favourite band or artist?
Muse, which is definitely Muse.
Oh, Muse.
Muse.
Oh yeah, I like Muse.
Did I break up again?
You went a bit muffled.
Are they from down there then? I didn't realise that.
Devon. So
Oh, well.
As an extra question there, what brand of tea do you serve with your scones?
oh. So we do either Earl Grey or English breakfast here. It's up to your choice. We even sell coffee with the scones, controversially.
I'm Earl Grey all the way now. All the way. Don't
I
drink
am an
normal
Earl
tea
Grey
anymore.
drinker. yeah, I do serve English breakfast to people who don't like Earl Grey.
Love it.
Nice.
Sorry, mate.
Leading on to the next question, tea or coffee?
I'm a tea drinker very much so. I drink a lot of Earl Grey. So
Next one, flowers or edibles? Or poison?
it's being surrounded by all these poisonous plants. I'd rather know what I mean. Yeah.
Next one, beach or forest? Forest.
I'm not good with the sun.
No,
With my complexion.
not with your hair colour, no. Sorry.
There's also too many tourists on the beach.
Yeah, that's probably a big problem down there. Trying to get to the beach is probably hard work as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go to emoji in a text message.
Probably thumbs up, which is quite boring, really. Yeah.
It's a classic. If you could only have one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably ready salted crisps. Because they go
What?
Yeah.
Plain crisps.
Ready salted crisps.
Plain. They're called plain. You wait. Kim's good. If Kim's still in here, she'll comment in a minute because she always calls them ready salted, and I say they're plain. they're the worst crisps you can get.
You know, you can have them with lots of dips and everything, and they go with what?
Plain. they're called plain for a reason.
Finish the sentence. My perfect day would be.
Probably going to a garden centre and buying as many plants as I was allowed to. Then coming back and probably having a barbecue in the garden and
Lovely.
sort of thing. Being outside, basically, on a sunny day, preferably.
On a sunny day.
You can't beat a good day outside.
Yeah.
Outside all day and then a barbecue and a few drinks. Lovely.
Yeah.
Perfect day. I agree.
Sowing seeds or planting out?
Probably planting out because I'm not very successful with sowing seeds and keeping them alive. But at least if I'm planting them out, the plant is still alive. So it's nearly getting better surviving.
Today's favourite plant?
The cola plant herb.
Oh, that is a good smell, that.
Cola, did you say?
Cola plant.
Oh.
It's southernwood, I think it's called. It's another African one.
Tunisia, isn't it?
And one of the I brought it from one of the herb companies that does interesting herbs, and it smelled of cola bottles.
Does
and I went
really?
a bit crazy, and I brought 6 of them, and I've given 4 of them away, and I've got 2, so I've got 50% chance of keeping it alive. And yeah, it's crazy. My children absolutely adore Coca-Cola, and
what do you do with it?
Apparently you can put it in drinks.
Yeah, I have. It does. It gives it a really mild cola flavour in water. So in the summer,
I bet if you bruise it, bruise it up and chuck it in. Oh wow!
Yeah, it was the smell. It smells of cola bottles, like you've just opened a pack of cola sweets and stuck it in. It's amazing.
Oh wow!
And there's a few people, and I found out that one of our local nurseries that I've just discovered has loads of them. So I keep buying them for people and giving them to people. It's my current favourite.
Got a steady supply when you kill it.
Get a new one.
I was just about to say urban herbs. Must be.
Yeah, I think it was Urban Herbs I got it from, the original.
So last week we changed this question You'll be the first person to get it, so it's the favourite season.
It's spring, unfortunately, so it was difficult. So spring.
Spring.
We didn't
Spring's
need to
good.
change it. Go back to the old question. Next one, unlimited compost or unlimited seeds?
Compost, definitely.
Always need compost.
Not unlimited squash seeds.
If you could choose, hang on, falling off the seat. If you could choose one plant to describe yourself, what would it be?
One poisonous plant.
Well, I was thinking, I was thinking berberis because we've got quite a lot of it in the garden, and I was quite surprised to find out it wasn't poisonous, but it looks really poisonous, and it's slightly spiky, which apparently people say. And it's got bright orange flowers, and it likes, it attracts a lot of bees.
They're amazing at the moment. They're just absolutely covered in orange flowers, aren't they?
Yeah. Berberis, I think it's Darwini or something.
Yeah.
The one we built. And it has these amazing orange flowers that the bees, the whole place, the whole bush hums.
Yeah.
And then in the autumn, it produces these little purple berries, which look highly toxic, but you can make wine out of them. So we've done that before. So I do love the fact that it looks actually quite poisonous, but it's not at all.
Trying to keep you off of it, so it's obviously a good.
It's quite spiky.
No, it's really spiky. Favourite weed?
Bindweed, because it is the food source for the white-plumed moth, which is one of my favourite moths.
I did not know that.
No.
White-plumed moth. I think they look like little fairies. They're about that big, and they've got very thin white. They're amazing if you see them in real life, and we definitely have them around here. I've seen them a few times. And all the caterpillars live off bindweed, which we've got plenty of. So
I've got plenty of bindweed, for sure. And the final one, what would you want your gardening legacy to be?
Reduce the amount of people poisoning themselves. And stop people putting poisonous flowers on cakes, I think.
Oh my God, that's shocking, isn't it?
I can't believe people do that. That's insane.
There's a reason there's edible flower companies out there, because there's some plants that aren't edible.
There's a company in Norfolk called Nurtured in Norfolk, and they do loads of edible flowers.
Yeah. But there are so many beautiful edible flowers that there is absolutely no need to put anything other than edible flowers on your celebration, fruit salad, stroke, anything else.
Don't just wander around the garden and pick anything and put on there.
There is, it's amazing how many people believe, it's natural, it comes from the garden, it's fun. No toxic poisons in this world come from plants.
Crazy.
Silly people.
Very, very. Well, Sophia, that was absolutely mind-blowing, a lot of it. Unbelievable. I've learned so much in the last hour and a half.
Yeah, once you start going down the subject.
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's toxic.
Is it?
Larkspur is in the same family as monks.
Yeah. Anything in the buttercup family is not good.
Oh my God.
Yeah, larkspur is in the same family. It's not quite as deadly, but it is pretty bad.
Unbelievable. So what I've taken away from tonight's show is I'm not going to save any pumpkin seeds anymore.
I will have to do some more research into that one then.
Yeah, please do. Let me know.
Just look at it, don't eat it.
Yeah, if you want them for a Halloween,
then that's fine.
Show, it's fine. Yeah.
But you usually know if you eat a toxic squash, from all the accounts, you pretty much know pretty instantly that it's not good. But the problem is you've just wasted that massive amount of space on growing
Yeah.
toxic waste.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, which is more of a problem probably than eating.
Well, tell you what, Mark, that might have been the year Charlotte sent all them Mancino seeds out.
Possibly. It's Charlotte's fault.
Charlotte she sent about 50 people from Mancino seeds.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you also suddenly discovered that you had food poisoning after eating all your pumpkins, then that's why.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. No.
My God. All right. On that note,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you
Sophia.
very much for having me.
Yeah, no, you're
Pleasure.
welcome. It's been really good. Really, really interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Do I have to exit somehow?
I'll kick you out.
Okay.
Lovely to speak to you.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. My God. It's unbelievable.
Craziness. So it's not quite completely dark. Can I turn you around? There's still light in the sky and it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I was like about 5 minutes ago when Penny was saying, "Oh, the sky looks nice," but I am now black. But then I'm that little bit souther than you. Souther?
Sulphur.
Bit more south. A little bit more souther.
Is that the proper term for it? Sulphur.
It might be. But my tree looks lovely.
It does. It's just nice to be back down the polytunnel rather than my potting shed. I've got a bit more room in it.
This is my spot now for the next few months.
Yeah.
Until I have to start putting my chimney on, and then it gets too cold. That was really interesting.
Or maybe next week we'll be in the polytunnel as well.
Next week?
Polytunnel.
Next week, I'm in Marrakesh.
Oh, yeah, not next week, because you're clearing off to Marrakesh.
All right, look. Joe's taking the piss at me now. Sulphur.
That's got to be one of the out of context.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, we're having a week off next week. I'm going on holiday.
Shocking behaviour.
I'm going to Marrakesh. I'm going to go. Can't remember what there's all funny markets. Can't remember what they're called. They got all the herbs and spices. No, Mark's had a week off.
Well,
Like
I might come on, but it won't be through the garden gate. Maybe it'll just be Mark in the garden talking rubbish.
if you come on, I might join you if I'm walking around somewhere at night time.
Get us some food.
Yeah.
James Marrakesh food review. Be like chicken feet and stuff. Bizarre.
No, I'm gutted. Joe. So East Ruston, they got their plant fair, spring plant fair on Sunday, and I'm not even going to be in the country, Joe. I'm really gutted. I did say to Teresa about postponing the holiday, and she just shook her head and said no. No, I am gutted. I love that every week, every year. But never mind. Don't know these
Getting requested
things.
part of my garden now. Look.
I tell you what really shocked me tonight. How many people eat bloody plain crisps? Oh.
To be fair, they are better for you because they're not full of processed crap.
Are they
But
really?
they are plain. I think
plain.
I've experimented with eating less crisps or eating more sort of ones without flavouring, and I've actually decided I'd rather just not eat crisps than eat plain crisps.
Yeah, exactly. They've been nicknamed plain crisps for a reason.
Not quite as bad as the one that you've got to add your own salt to.
Yeah, they're worse.
Really
The ones with the little blue bag and salt and shake.
Salt and shake.
Oh, Joe, are you coming to? Oh, Joe must be on the what is it? The wellness thing, Ellen Mary's thing, which is in the next village to me. Shona's coming down
Oh, is that this weekend?
this this weekend coming, but I'm going on Friday. Shona said about it, but she also asked me if there's a good nursery close by, and I told her about Westacre. So she's going to go there. Maybe are you going to the weekend thing, Joe? Because there's loads of them down, aren't there? There's loads. Angie and
Or is
Ellen
that
Mary, I think.
Mary's
Yeah,
um,
that's a camp thing.
called?
Yoga and
Yeah,
whatever they
a
do.
wellness retreat or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
something
they
like
did
that.
last year. And Ali will be there as well, I guess.
I don't think Ali's going.
Oh, no, she's not. Ali
I
was
think
doing all
so.
the cooking last time.
Oh, would she?
Yeah.
Oh, she's coming down. Oh my God! You can come and have a look, walk around my garden if you want, Joe. I might be here, but you can come and have a look.
Go water your greenhouse. Sorry.
Yeah, sort my tomatoes out. Right. Thanks, everybody. I haven't had no tea tonight yet, so I'm going to go and eat.
You're hungry after a
I
day
am
at work.
hungry. Hungry already. 9:10.
Right. I'll
Right,
see you
mate.
in 2 weeks then. Have a
Yeah,
lovely holiday.
2 weeks' time. Thank you very much.
Is
Standing and
anyone
Flower
doing
Show. Yeah, I'll go if I'm not doing something else. I like it. It's only for a day.
when is it?
July.
July. Possibly.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
See you next week.
Bye.
No.
2 weeks.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.